This is my favorite roasted turkey recipe I've ever made. It cooks in half the time and it's packed with way more flavor than a traditional roasted turkey. Let's get into how you can make this at home right in time for the holidays. We're gonna begin by prepping our turkey. I've already rinsed this guy under some cold water, and now we're gonna remove the packages from inside the chest cavity. Usually you'll find the heart, gizzard, liver, and the neck. You can save the organ meat for other recipes if you want, but definitely save the neck bone. We're gonna use that to make a super flavorful gravy later on. To make the turkey cook 2 times faster, we're gonna spatchcock it, which means we're gonna remove the backbone with a pair of kitchen shears. Place the turkey breast side down and cut along both sides of the backbone. These things can be really tough, especially those bigger turkeys, so don't be afraid to really put some muscle into it. Once the backbone is removed, we're gonna save it with the neck bone to add more flavor to the gravy later on. Now we're gonna lay the turkey flat on a cutting board with the breast side up. Using both hands, we're gonna press down hard on the chest to flatten the breastbone. You'll actually hear it crack like you're at the chiropractor. Flattening the breastbone like this lets the turkey cook way faster and more evenly than a traditional roasted turkey. Now we're going to transfer the turkey onto a wire rack over a sheet pan and begin separating the skin from the meat. This is going to help us out later on when we go to stuff it with the compound butter. I'm gently working my hand under the skin, being careful not to tear it. You want to make sure to separate the skin over the breast and thighs, but don't be too harsh and start ripping the skin apart. Once the skin is separated, we're going to work on a dry brine to season our turkey. Mix a 1/4 cup of kosher salt with a teaspoon of baking powder. This is enough for a 7 to 9 pound bird, but if you have a larger turkey around 13 to 15 pounds, add another 2 tablespoons of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon more of baking powder. This is what's going to make our skin incredibly crispy when we go to roast it. The salt seasons the meat and draws out the moisture from the skin, while the baking powder helps break down the proteins in the skin, making it extra crispy when we go to roast it. We're going to spread this mixture all over the turkey, making sure to get the back as well. Once all the dry brine is over the turkey, we're going to let it rest uncovered for at least 8 hours, or ideally overnight in the fridge. The skin will dry overnight, letting it get extra crispy when we go to roast it. The next morning, we're going to pull the turkey out of the fridge and let it come to room temp while we work on the compound butter. This lets the turkey cook more evenly when we go to roast it. Also, at this point, the skin should look nice and dry, which is exactly what we want. To make the compound butter, we're going to start by mincing a 1-inch knob of ginger. Here's a neat trick to peel the ginger faster. Swap the peeler for a spoon and you'll notice how much easier it is to peel. A traditional peeler tends to get stuck on the ginger's fibers, making it a challenge to peel easily. But with the spoon it glides right off. Give the peeled ginger a good mince, and then we're going to mince 4 cloves of garlic. Once the garlic is minced, we're going to work on some thyme. For the thyme, instead of trying to pick off all the leaves individually, pinch the top of the stem and run your fingers down the stem to strip off all the leaves in one go. We're going to repeat this with the rest of the sprigs until we have about 2 tablespoons worth of thyme leaves. Once you have enough thyme, give them a quick chop with your knife. Lastly, we're going to mince 2 tablespoons worth of parsley. Unlike the thyme, which has a woody stem, it's okay to have a little bit of parsley stem in there, as that's where a majority of the flavor is. With the aromatics prepped, we're going to begin prepping our compound butter. Into a bowl, we're going to add 1 cup of softened butter along with the ginger, garlic, thyme, and parsley. We're also going to add 1 tablespoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. For larger turkeys around 13 to 15 pounds, double all the compound butter ingredients. Then we're going to give this a good mix until everything's well combined. Once the compound butter is ready, we're going to start stuffing our turkey. Give the bird one last pat down to remove any remaining moisture off the skin. Now we're going to slide the compound butter under the skin, making sure to get it all over the breast and thighs. This is going to keep the turkey juicy and season it from the inside as it roasts in the oven. Before placing the prepped turkey into the oven, make sure to tuck in the wingtips behind the breast so that they don't burn while it roasts in the oven. It should almost look like the turkey is relaxing with its wings behind its back. Also, make sure the leg drums are facing outwards so that they cook evenly. Finally, give the entire outside of the turkey a final brush with some neutral oil like vegetable or canola to help the skin get crispy in the oven. Now we're going to place the turkey on a wire rack over a roasting pan lined with aluminum foil. The foil catches all the drippings in the butter as the turkey roasts. We're also going to use those drippings to make the gravy later on. Plus, it makes cleanup way easier. Nobody, including myself, wants to scrub a roasting pan on Thanksgiving. With the turkey ready, we're going to place it into a 450 degrees oven for about an hour, or until the breast reads 150 degrees or higher. Give it a turn every 20 minutes or so to make sure it roasts evenly. If you find that the skin is getting darker before the turkey has a chance to cook through, cover the top with some aluminum foil and reduce the heat to 400 degrees. While that's roasting, let's go work on our gravy. We're going to start by chopping up 1 yellow onion. The cuts don't have to be perfect, as long as it's chopped we're good. We're going to do the same thing with 1 celery stalk as well as 1 carrot. Add the veggies into a medium sauce pot with a bit of olive oil. Give that all a cook until the onions start to turn translucent and super fragrant. Now we're going to add in a sprig of thyme, a bay leaf, and 8 peppercorns. This is our aromatic base. Until that, we're going to pour in 4 cups of chicken stock. Now we're going to add in that turkey neck and backbone we saved from earlier. These are going to add so much depth and flavor to our stock, which makes for a super flavorful gravy. Bring this up to a boil, and then we're going to reduce it to a simmer. We're going to let this reduce for about 30 minutes, or until about 1/4 of the liquid has evaporated. Once our turkey stock has reduced by about 1/4, we're going to give it a strain and then save that liquid for later. Our turkey is done roasting now, and it looks great. The skin got super crispy in the oven, and you can see the compound butter seasonings under the skin. Listen to how crispy that skin is when I run a fork over it. With our turkey ready, we're going to use a baster to pick up at least 2 ounces of that butter and turkey fat that rendered off. All that flavor from the compound butter mixed with the turkey drippings makes for an incredible gravy. Add the turkey butter and 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to a medium-sized pot. We're going to make a roux by cooking the flour in the turkey butter. This is what's going to thicken our gravy. Make sure to stir constantly so it doesn't burn, and we're going to let it cook for about 2 minutes or until the roux becomes a pale brown color. Now we're going to add in half of the turkey stock while whisking constantly to avoid any lumps from forming. Once that's incorporated, add in the rest of the stock and bring this to a boil. Once it's at a boil, reduce it down to a simmer and let it simmer for 2 minutes while stirring constantly. Once the gravy is done, we're going to test it by coating the back of a spoon. The gravy should stick to the spoon but still drip off. If it's too thick, add some chicken stock or water to loosen it up a bit. If it's too thin, let it simmer a bit more until it thickens up. Also, don't forget to give it a taste to see if it needs any more salt. The chicken stock I used was already pretty salty, so I'm just adding a pinch more to bring everything together. Make sure you don't skip this step or you risk having a bland gravy. With the gravy done, let's start carving our turkey. I like to let the turkey rest for at least 15 minutes before slicing into it so it has a chance to finish carryover cooking. That's about how long it took to make the gravy, so the timing works out perfectly. Before we get into carving our turkey, if you're not going to use gloves, make sure to give your hands a good wash. I like to start by removing the thighs. Pull the thigh away from the body a little bit to expose the skin holding it to the turkey, and slice right through it. Since we removed the backbone, there should be nothing holding the thighs to the turkey other than the skin. Now for the wings, make a small slice under the armpit to expose the shoulder joint. Slice right between that joint to remove the wings from the breast. Don't try to cut through the bone, find the joint and it'll come right off. Now the breast is a little tricky because you have to cut around the breastbone and ribs. Start by making a small slice down the middle of the breast, right along the breastbone. Now I'm going to follow the meat around the breastbone and the ribs by placing my knife against them, using them as a guide. Gently peel the meat back as you go so you can see where to slice next. Let the bones guide your knife. Eventually you'll be left with 2 beautiful breasts and the turkey carcass. You can either discard the carcass or save it to make a turkey broth later on. I always save it because it makes for an incredible soup base. One last thing you can do is separate the thighs from the drumstick. See that fat line between the thigh and the drum? Follow that line with your knife and you'll slice cleanly through the knee joint, separating the two. And now you have a fully carved roasted turkey. To make serving even easier, I like to slice the breast into smaller pieces so that people don't have to carve it at the table. Let's grab a piece and take a look. That compound butter and proper resting time kept everything super moist. Let me pour some of this gravy over a piece and see how it came out. Oh yeah. This is what Thanksgiving turkey should be like every time. The skin is crispy, the meat is juicy, and the gravy is perfect. This technique cuts your cooking time in half, gives you the crispiest skin, and keeps the meat nice and juicy. Once you make turkey this way, you'll never go back to the traditional way again. If you liked today's recipe, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, happy holidays, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!